So what'd you guys think of the movie?
Fuck you. We're going to shoot this unedited. We're going to shoot it as quick as we can because we're following the format that Paul Feig followed when he shot this Ghostbusters reboot.
We're just going to put it out there and hope it sticks.
Now, you guys saw my initial reaction to the trailer.
Yeah.
All joking aside, I really did not want to hate this movie.
I think if you want to hate a movie, you're going into a movie for the wrong reasons.
I really believed in my heart of hearts that I might have walked away thinking that this was okay or that there were some redeeming qualities to it.
I was really hoping that this was a case of a bad trailer.
Should I get a light on over here?
Yeah, go ahead. There you go.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, because otherwise it's like I'm just like creeping in the background like, I'm here too.
Or you'll look like one of the special effects.
Yeah, except you can actually tell that I'm here.
Okay, so we saw an advanced screening of, you guessed it, the new Ghostbusters movie. We had a couple of drinking games that we kind of came up with
Before the movie.
Before the movie, and they stuck.
We took a lucky guess, and we were able to get the job done off of them.
So the drinking games were, if I can list them as quickly as possible, Lady Part jokes, to steal my term in the trailer review. Every time you saw a ghost, every time Melissa McCarthy fell down, every time that Leslie Jones screamed.
When we got in there, I came up with two more, which were every time you know you're supposed to be laughing, but you just don't. And every time there is a mention of another movie. Because, God, it happens every 2 minutes.
Yeah, we figured that out pretty early on. Same thing with the laughing.
Yeah.
When you thought you were supposed to be laughing.
It was...
So, in total, we did have 50 drinks. 50. Sort of modest.
You counted?
Yeah, I counted.
I lost count. There was one
counted.
point where we were just passing the drinks back and forth.
Yeah, we did bring liquor into this movie. Thank God, because it's the only thing that got us
we weren't going to do that.
Yeah, 50 drinks. So let's talk about the film.
Okay, then. Where do we start?
I will say this. I will give it a little bit of credit. I like the call to action. I thought that was passable, that it was, the way that they brought them all together, it wasn't forced. And I really thought, based on the trailer, that was going to be the way that they kind of introduced each of the girls and said their part. I thought that at least came together nicely.
Kind of. I kind of agree with that. I feel like the way they introduced some characters was so ham-fisted and so unbelievably not flowing in the terms of a narrative. Like how they introduced the villain.
Yeah.
Was just kind of like,
so random.
Yeah.
So random.
And then how they introduced Kevin, I feel is just kind of like, oh, hi.
But you know what?
Now.
All his character was a piece of meat. It was supposed to be, and that didn't even bother me so much that he was just like, hey, I'm here. So much as the villain came out of nowhere and was completely unmotivated. Oh, here we go. Another victim who got picked on when he was a kid, and now he's angry. Win-win.
Yeah, and this movie shoved it up your ass that this was a female cast. The piece of meat of, Kevin. And then, spoiler alert, because they all have cameos, Sigourney Weaver shows up at some point. They're talking about the containment unit. Spoiler, they don't actually have it ready. Where these ghosts went after they caught them, I don't know.
They kept them in knickknacks.
Yeah.
Like each one was in
so
like a random shelf.
And then the big win for them at the end, they did nothing to cause. It's 100% dumb luck.
Yeah.
They didn't cross the streams. They didn't try to go ballsy. They didn't try to be courageous and sacrifice themselves for the greater good. It's dumb, stupid luck. But to get back to the containment unit, they're making a joke about how unstable it is, and they're like, "Oh, safety lights are for dudes." Yeah, safety lights are for dudes. And it just
Are they? Is that a
No, it's called a safety light for a reason.
Is that a stereotype that safety lights, security measures, are for men? So is this anti or pro women?
I think it's anti.
I think it is.
They tried so hard to make a feminist movie, And it just didn't work. If they really wanted this to be a feminist version of Ghostbusters, they would have had a female director and more female producers behind it.
You know what they could have done if they really wanted to make that, like, pro-feminist, like, don't treat us like women stance? Stop bringing up that you're women.
Yeah.
Every single line. The ghosts make misogynist comments.
Yeah.
The ghosts. The undead.
And I think that's where this movie really, really fails. Is, if you read into anything, this franchise, they've wanted to do another movie for quite a while. Bill Murray held out. Unfortunately, Harold Ramis passed away. So they were never going to make this the movie that they wanted to. And instead, they had to go so far to the other end of the spectrum because of all the obstacles that were in their way. It just fell apart.
Now let's talk about how Paul Feig likes to shoot his movies. He likes to linger on jokes for a long time, regardless of whether they are funny or not.
Oh, you mean like how amazingly funny the bird is? I'm going to do it again. I learned this when I was 8. Let's put it in a movie.
It's really, guys, it's really bad. There's a wonton soup joke that literally goes on for
It's a
almost the
running
entire
gag.
movie. It's
It's a
so
running gag.
stupid. And you want to talk about things that go on the entire movie, quoting other movies.
I think if you took out other movie references, they say
This
hello
movie-
to my. It's corny, really unoriginal movie quotes that they're doing. They say hello to my little friend when she shoots a gun.
They reference Wizard of Oz, Jaws.
Yeah.
And there was one more obvious one. I can't even remember what it is, but it doesn't matter.
The Jaws one got me, where the mayor is
Yeah.
like, "Don't ever compare me to the mayor
Yeah.
from Jaws." Well, we obviously can't compare you to the mayor from Ghostbusters.
No.
I think that was Paul Feig trying so hard to prove that he was the man for the job by, like, look at me, I know all these other movies. No, wrong. Just make your own. Just own it.
This had more referencing movies than like Epic Movie or like those like
Scary
Not Another
movie.
Blank movies.
Yeah.
This did it more, and it was less funny because they didn't even try to make it like interesting. There was one thing where they were just trading back and forth Patrick Swayze things.
That whole
those
sequence
are
was
so
so terrible.
long.
So terrible.
The other thing that I didn't like is we know this is I gotta look at the lens there.
Yeah.
I like to feel like I'm talking to you people, even when you don't want me to talk to you. But I'm going to talk to
This
you
is
right
a direct
now.
message. Please
Okay?
don't see this movie.
I'm
I
going to
have
talk to
to
you
say,
right now.
good job on not talking through the whole movie, though. I really thought that
I
you
feel
were
like
just
the
going to be
rage-
so
See, here's the thing.
mad.
Here's the
Rage
thing.
was just
You were to talk
bottling
through the whole
up.
thing.
Here's the thing. Like, there are going to be people that are going to like this movie.
Yeah.
And as much as I dislike this movie and I want everybody to know that you shouldn't waste your money seeing it, I, at the same time, don't want to ruin somebody else's experience that paid the $15 to go see it.
And see, I want to save their $15.
See, that's what we're doing now. If you were stupid enough like we were to spend $15, you might as well get $15 worth out of something, because God knows you're not getting it in the movie.
$13.50. If you had sprung for IMAX or some shit, I probably would have strangled you like halfway through the
No,
movie.
bullshit. I would not have
And then
spent
filmed
the
it. And then sold it. And it would have been more cohesive of a plot with better characters than Ghostbusters was.
That's the thing, is this movie, it never really developed. It was everything was very much out of convenience. What I can't figure out is how, now, again, in the first, I'm not trying to spoil too much, but I want you guys to understand why we're saying what we're saying, and especially for myself, why I'm saying it. This is not me being biased because I love the original Ghostbusters. If you take the fact that the original Ghostbusters exists and put it out of your mind, if this was a standalone movie, if this was the original Ghostbusters, this is a bad movie. You see 3 ghosts for the first hour and 10 minutes. They never launch a business. This is strictly scientific research. This never becomes a
was a
business
club.
entity. It was pretty much a club that they were in. Every 15 minutes, Kate McKinnon has developed a new weapon. Where she had the money to do this, I don't understand. And it just seemed like the weaponry progressed faster than the research did.
Yeah.
They did make a one-off reference about her finding a pipe, so my assumption is that she's dumpster diving, but they should have shown a little bit more of that. I mean, you know, they had
Just
them
keeping the
practicing in the alley. You could have shown her, like, grabbing some stuff to put it all together.
Yeah, but just keeping the electricity on in the building.
Right.
If you've got a nuclear reactor there, you know, even if you don't have any safety concerns, because safety is for dudes.
Yeah, safety lights is for dudes.
Safety lights are for dudes.
I
How
really
much-
do
how
feel
much-
bad for the cast, though, because
I felt worse.
these women are so much better than that. They are all funny. Bridesmaids was brilliant. That's another thing, Paul Feig. You did Bridesmaids. How the hell did you screw this up? Bridesmaids was great.
I feel worse for the cameos.
Yeah.
The cameos were some of the worst uses of good talent that you could ever hope to use. Dan Aykroyd had a better cameo in Casper
Yeah.
as a Ghostbuster
Yes.
than he did in this as a New Yorker.
That was the only funny parts, though, when they started taking digs on New York. Those were the only jokes I laughed at. There were 5
The
of
only
them.
joke I actually laughed out loud at is when a ghost goes onto a subway train
Yes.
and Leslie Jones says
Yeah.
he's the third scariest thing on that train.
Yeah.
That was funny.
That's a
And
funny line. That's a
the
great
New York
line.
joke. That was the only humor.
I
for me.
started talking about it and then got off track. They tried really hard to tell you that this is a Ghostbuster movie, but they didn't have to because you went to go see it and it's called Ghostbusters, and you know it's called Ghostbusters. They regurgitated so many lines from the original movie. If they had done it once or twice as throwaways, it would have been acceptable. But it was like, it's Ghostbusters movie, guys. It's the Ghostbusters movie. Like, we have no shit. The fucking ticket says fucking Ghostbusters. We came and saw it. We know it's Ghostbusters.
I was just thinking right now, the jokes they clung on to, like some jokes just lasted for ages. Some of them were going nowhere, and they added more shit to it to just try and save it, and it didn't work. There's some jokes in this that could have been brilliant. Like, I was just thinking about this. Remember when they make the nod about how they hate the ghost hunting shows on TV?
Yes.
Yes.
Wouldn't it have been great if in the middle of all that, like, stuff that goes on in the city, ghosts take over in a Ghostbusters movie? I hope that wasn't spoiling anything for you. But imagine if they had shown, like, the ghost hunting shows trying to go through it and just getting possessed, taken over.
Right.
Anything
Right.
where it could have been something creative with that.
Right.
This movie was not creative.
Now, it's interesting because when this movie was over, I said to Pat and Jackie, this is the Batman and Robin of 2016. And Pat said something that was scary, actually. Like, it was horrifying that you could actually find a quality redeeming in Batman and Robin that you couldn't find in this.
Batman and Robin, try as they might, got some connections to the source material correct. They tried to make it like the source material. They understood the source material. It feels like this movie heard the name Ghostbusters, looked at the toys for 30 seconds, and
Yeah.
said, I can do it
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, that's what this was. It was like watching a 90-minute toy ad.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really so awful. And
And
I really, it's such a very good ensemble cast. I mean, Andy Garcia's in this movie, for Christ's sake. You fucked up an Andy Garcia role. I mean, think about that. It's so misguided and poorly written that you made Andy Garcia look like a film school student who was working on his senior thesis
You made
with his parents' money.
all of the Ghostbusters unfunny by putting them together.
None of them were likable.
None of them.
Together, none of them were likable. Not a one.
As actresses, I like all of them.
I know. I
Separately.
really feel bad for these actresses.
Yeah.
I really do.
And that's, again, where it failed, because it was shot like a comedy. The success of the original Ghostbusters is that it's shot like a horror film and they're playing it straight.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so funny. This was fart jokes and vagina jokes.
one
and
of the first, like, major laugh jokes was a fart and a queef joke.
Yeah.
It was bad. I mean,
was
just
awful.
like,
Well,
it's so awful.
back to this being the Batman and Robin of the franchise. I think that's a good place to end on with your tweet.
I tweeted at Paul Feig, and God help me, the tweet has gotten picked up. I tweeted at Paul Feig, if Clooney will give me $10 for Batman and Robin, what will you give me for this piece of crap? And honestly, there's nothing he can give me. There's really nothing, because you took a really a timeless movie, because the original Ghostbusters, due to the fact that they used a lot of practical effects, holds up. The comedy holds up, the effects hold up, the story holds up. You took that and you shit on it. And there's really nothing that you can do to change that. And if you are somebody that did not grow up with the original Ghostbusters films, or if you are a parent that took your kids to see this movie, I implore you to show them the 84 Ghostbusters. Because in reality, in my world, and I think in the world of a lot of people, that is the only Ghostbusters film that really exists. Don't take this movie and hold it as a benchmark to the Ghostbuster franchise. Because I've said it before and I will say it again. If the original Ghostbusters franchise didn't exist, this was a bad, bad movie.
And they did it for Harold Ramis.
See, that's the thing. I was angry when the movie was over. At the end of the movie, at the end of the credits, before they tease the sequel, the last thing that you see on screen is for Harold Ramis. And Paul Feig, I hope to God somehow you see this video, because you, sir, if you believed that this was an appropriate tribute to Harold Ramis, shame on you. Absolutely shame on you.
I kind of wish this was edited so we could put in that clip from Game of Thrones. Shame. Shame. Shame.
All right, so as far as the drinking game goes, we had 50 of them.
Drink excessively
The
while
drinks
watching
worked.
this movie. That's the only drinking game I would say to
I'm proud of us for going in on a blind with the drinking games, because they were successful.
And to see, that's something else to touch on. We went in on a blind and came up with effective drinking games.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you
Yeah. You
how
could totally figure it
predictable
out.
this movie
We knew
was.
exactly what this was going to be when we walked in.
Okay. But that's it, guys. Listen,
We're not hating for the sake of hating. It was just a bad movie.
yeah.
Even if you're not a Ghostbusters fan, this was a terribly made, terribly paced. The editing was terrible. I brought that up a couple of times.
God.
It cut at horrible moments, and it lingered on jokes for way too long. The characters weren't well developed. The people in the movie who were not the main characters looked so out of place.
And they wore the same. Does it bother anybody else that they wore the same clothes every day?
Pretty much.
There was like no costume. There were 2 costumes in the entire movie. Whatever it was that they were wearing outside the uniform and the uniform. It never changed.
Yeah.
I honestly felt like there was going to be a thing where they had like an upgraded costume that like had LED lights in it and stuff like that. They look like custodians who found a bunch of toys like in the toy aisle.
Yeah. But listen, guys, that's our review. You want to spend the $15 on this piece of shit, then go ahead. It's your prerogative. But I can say for myself, I've seen it once. I will rewatch most bad movies. I will never watch this movie again. I'll never watch it again. I mean, it was just that bad.
Yeah, I just kind of want it to go away.
Yeah.
But let us know what you thought if you go see it.
And that'll be it for us. So until next time,
I'm Pat.
I'm Jackie.
I'm Sean.
Cheers. Let's go get drunk.
Again? Yeah. I like it.
Oh, and by the way, this movie has no idea what heavy metal fans are like. That guy running in the front with the goth makeup and the Mastodon shirt screaming, "Woo, Ozzy!" That's like if I were wearing a Culture Club shirt, I had on Kiss makeup, and I was saying, "Steve Miller Band!" Because that's the 3 separate things. Also, a really poorly timed Ozzy Sharon joke.
Yeah, really. How did they not edit that out?
They cut the stupid dance scene out of the movie that Paul Feig was so upset about, but you couldn't edit out Ozzy Osbourne screaming Sharon?
Yeah, at least as a courtesy. And there were so many things they could have done. The demon looked so bat-like. I would have loved to hear a good...
An Ozzy Bat reference would have been fine.
Yeah, or just instead of Leslie Jones stage diving, have Ozzy come out and threaten to bite its head off.
Well, they already did that in Little Nicky.
That's right.
They can't do it again. Although they've quoted so many different movies, I don't know why they couldn't just steal another thing.
Yeah, they can't steal from Little Nicky a funnier movie.
Yes, no.
Just awful. Just awful. And by the way, they cut the dance scene out because, like, apparently... Why?
The studio fought him on that, but apparently, don't worry, it's gonna be in the director's cut.
Yeah, but without it, like, everyone just kind of freezes in the middle of the street, and I was like, are they going to be dancing? And then they didn't.
Right. And it's not like it would have made less sense if they threw that in there just for shits and giggles. It would have been fine.
I could have actually used a nice dance break in the middle of this movie. It was a lot to take in.
At least something in the movie would have been slightly entertaining.